everybody. How's it going? Week 11 is upon us. It's me, Bob Harris, Senior Editor, FootballDiehards.com. Hope the sound is working today. We've put a lot of effort into this, and if it's not, we'll continue to put effort into it. We're going to get this right. Happy you could all come. Sounds like early reports are good on the sound, so let me know out there if you hear anything. Let's take it to the trophy. Hello, everybody. I see you out there. We'll get to things in just a second. Let's quick reset of the news and information you need to know. There are bye weeks, as always. Jaguars, Dolphins, Seahawks, and Buccaneers are the teams you want to get out of your lineups. I found it this week. Chime in the comments if you want on the YouTube here. I had a hard time, man. This was a tough week for me. Maybe I'm just invested heavily in these teams. But it seemed like it was harder than the Bye-Mageddon week, actually, the 16 bye. We got another one of those coming in week 14, but no Cooper Kupp this week, and for multiple weeks. Number of people placed on IR this week. Cooper Kupp, J.D. McKissick just this morning. Not anyone excited about that, but Dallas Goedert and Zach Ertz both went on IR this week. That's a rough shot at a position where there's not a lot of talent available. Otherwise, the Baltimore Ravens, we're going to have some issues going into this one. We got 3 guys on the questionable list. Sounds like Lamar Jackson will play. Seems like he gets ill a lot. He's got an illness. They say he'll be fine. A little less certain on Mark Andrews and Gus Edwards, who seemed like they were trending in a good direction. In fact, Mark Andrews practiced fully Friday before he was listed as questionable. And John Harbaugh, putting out some language out there that, just like, we're not sure. I thought earlier in the week, they're the thing about the Ravens is they're really by the book, right? If, you miss any time whatsoever, you're going to get the questionable designation. So we'll just have to see how it plays out. It's an early kickoff, so that's good news. And we'll go from there. Devontae Adams also questionable this week. Justin Jefferson is fine. There are some issues with the Arizona Cardinals. As you probably know, the quarterback situation. Kyler Murray's going to be a game-time decision. DeAndre Hopkins has a hamstring issue that came up. They say it's just maintenance, why they're going easy on him. We'll have the injury report out later today, and we'll know more. Could see Hollywood Brown back this week as well. So you guys know the drill. I see the questions piling in. If you don't know the drill, here's the drill. The drill is this. First initial or first name, last name, and who they're playing, if you can. I have a better idea of that as we go through the week, Also, if you haven't, if I don't get to all your questions here, you want to hear more conversation, you can tune into the Football Diehards program on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio. Mike Dempsey and myself are on every Monday, Thursday, Friday at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. We go until 1 a.m. on Monday and Thursday, midnight on Friday. Tonight on NFL Radio and the Fantasy Channel, Mike Dempsey and myself for 3 hours of goodness. Matthew Friedman will join us tonight from Fantasy Pros. And Jamie Calandro from Football Diehards to talk DFS. I'll have all kinds of good stuff going on for you there. And then Sunday, you can catch me on the pregame show with Jeff Mans from 11 to 1 p.m. Also, go to the FootballDiehards.com website, where there are many great things for you to be better at what you want to be better at, which is fantasy football, right? A lot of insights, information. We usually do the live stream on Saturday nights for the DFS. Moved it to Friday night last night. Don't worry if you missed it. Replays available at FootballDiehards.com or here on the YouTube channel. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you're not subscribed. Hit the like button if you like what you're seeing. Hit the dislike button if you do not like it, because I'm okay with that. I'm trying to get better. Tell me what I need to do. Anyway, I see the questions are mounting. So let's get into the questions. That's what we're here for, and figure some things out and get things sorted out. Don't know if we'll give you all the definitive answers, but I'll certainly give you some food for thought as you make these final decisions. Remember, people, I say this all the time. I have hunches about players just like you do. I don't know that my hunches are greater than your hunches. But we should all be playing our hunches, right? So I'll share my hunches with you, and you can use that as part of the palette of information you use to inform yourself of your decisions, right? But if you have a hunch, play your hunch. I'm not there Monday. You can't punish me. You can only punish yourself. So anyway, good to see everybody here. Let's get rolling. We've set all the preliminaries. We've got all the fun set up. Week 11. Let's dive in. Older Budweiser. Hi, older Budweiser. How do you feel about paying Qatar a bunch of money and not being able to drink beer there? I mean, I don't drink, so it's not a problem for me, but it just seems odd. Freiermuth or Dulcich, half-point PPR. So I was kind of a little bit on the Freiermuth bandwagon, but, went and examined the numbers, and they're not great. They're not as great as I thought. Let's put it that way. That's a better way. I mean, it hasn't been horrible, but just hasn't been great with as great as I thought with Pickett on board. And look, I think Dulcich, we're playing a little bit of our. I'm going to say right now, I like Dulcich a little bit better. Right? I feel like there's some upside there. I think Freiermuth's maybe a more solid floor play, but I like, the rankings like Freiermuth a little better. I just want to look at some of the information I was looking at to kind of help inform my decision. Because as I was out there studying up, I do that sometimes. I don't know why. It just seemed like the target share had diminished a little bit from the time it was Trubisky to the time it's now. Let's see what I have here. Let's see. All kinds of information on my fingertips. Anyhow, I'm going with those. Look, these are both top 10 options. I don't want to, sell you short here. I mean, I think it is a hard decision. You'd think I'd be more organized. It'd be convenient. Let's see. Here we go. Freiermuth averaged 11 plus fantasy points in his 4 games with Trubisky. That goes to 9 points per game with Pickett, which isn't horrible, right? They've relied more on Deontay Johnson with Pickett in the lineup than in the red zone. He has 8 red zone and 4 end zone targets, and Pickett starts this per Tristan Cockcroft at ESPN, and that's why that makes sense, right? So the Bengals defense has been kind of tough against tight ends too. So that's part of it. They held Dalton Schultz to 2 points, Mike Gesicki to 4 points, Kyle Pitts to 3 points. Well, that's no big feat, right? But anyway, I'm leaning Dulcich for the upside here. I still think Freiermuth's a fine floor play. I think I just beat that question to death. Let's get to another one. Happy Saturday, I'm Karen. Scott Hedge, morning, sir. A half-point PPR, choose one. Paris Campbell, Indy, Philadelphia versus Philadelphia. This is how you write a question. Curtis Samuel versus Houston. Brandon Cooks versus Houston. So I'm going to probably go with the first 2 there. Not against Brandon Cooks, and I think at some point maybe course corrects. Just the offense hasn't been great. It's been super run heavy. Paris Campbell has been quietly gaining tons of momentum. I like Campbell a lot. And if you think that maybe an angry Darius Slay, who got kind of burned by Terry McLaurin, is going to come back with a vengeance and go mostly against Michael Pittman Jr., maybe there's some room for Paris Campbell to excel. That whole Eagle secondary is pretty tough, though. So it is a tough matchup. Curtis Samuel, I like a little bit, slightly over Cooks, I want to say. Part of it is just that kind of the multi-purpose role that we see for. I just want to double check the numbers here. Yeah, I'm going to go. That's the 2 for sure. Good morning, Remy. Scott Hedge, you're going to take yourself to the trophy. Half-point PPR, Gus Edwards, Baltimore, or Antonio Gibson, Washington versus Houston. So Gus Edwards listed as questionable. I think you could avoid this week. Houston, if you go to the footballdiehards.com website, I have an article up on the Texans defense. It's bad. We know it's bad. How bad is it? They're going to allow, they're on pace to allow 3,000 yards of rushing bad. That's pretty bad. So I'd probably be fine playing either Washington running back, playing the one you have. I like Gibson slightly more than Brian Robinson Jr., who I think is going to get a ton of carries, but doesn't do much in the passing game. But Gus Edwards, I mean, I would be fine playing him, but questionable designation has me a little worried. Even if he's active, will they kind of go slow on him? They didn't when he first came back, right? He jumped right back into the featured role. So, I suppose for me, I'm going to avoid the situation with Edwards for at least a week. I do think going forward, Edwards is the piece to own in this backfield, or is going to be the lead piece. I base that on people who write for Baltimore Ravens website. Garrett Downing and Ryan Mink both kind of have expressed that view over the course of the last week or so. So I'm going to go with that as well. But this week, Antonio Gibson. Hello, Pat B. Greetings. Hello, Andrea. Hi, Jesse Cedillo. Swift or Jamal Williams. I think my default right now is Jamal Williams over Swift, because it's kind of where I'm at. And I feel like at some point we're going to get the full or a more robust Swift. But until we do, I'm still playing Jamal Williams. I think Jamal Williams for me is like a pretty solid running back too, or I'll go with pretty solid. Above, certainly not tail end. And Swift is a flex play right now. He's just not getting the workload. And we saw last game. I mean, he was not on the injury, or he's off the injury report this week again. He's listed with the ankle and shoulder, but he's worked fully all last week. Didn't get a good workload. So I don't know if they're just trying to go easy on him. We saw a fair amount of Justin Jackson in that game. I didn't expect that. So I'm a little bit. Right now I'm sold on Jamal Williams, and hopefully, Swift playing at a flex level, if we're playing him, can come through and give us one of those games that gives us confidence to move him back in our starting lineups, because I'd love to. Terrence, start Cousins at home versus Dallas, or pick up Daniel Jones to start at home versus Detroit. Vanilla Vic is what they're calling Daniel Jones, or at least Saquon Barkley. If you saw the clip, he was mic'd up. It was pretty hilarious. You should go look for that. Vanilla Vic is what Saquon Barkley is calling Daniel Jones. You know how many quarterbacks have run for more yards than Daniel Jones? Not very many. I want to say 3, maybe 4. I should check that. I think 3. I think only 3. Let me double check, because I think it's interesting. It's an overlooked commodity. Yeah, 3 quarterbacks: Justin Fields, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen have more rushing yards than Daniel Jones. Go figure. So I'm fine starting Cousins. I mean, I think it's by the way, Cousins, I think, has the longest current touchdown pass streak in the league at 39 games. 39 games. Current rankings have Daniel Jones at 9, Kirk Cousins at 10. I'm probably going to play the matchup here and go Daniel Jones against Detroit. Vanilla Vic. PPR flex spot. Now we're going to get into my Darius Slayton love. Way to go, Mark D. Jarzynski? Tell me if I came even close on that, Mark. PPR flex spot: Slayton versus Detroit, Palmer versus KC, Ayuk versus Arizona. I like them all. I feel like I'm going to be overly invested in Darius Slayton this week. If you go read my DFS 3 and out column, he's in a good spot again. I love that matchup. I want to say, and so maybe Palmer, you're not going to know until Sunday night if we're going to see Keenan Allen. I mean, I probably in a vacuum would play him. Especially if there was no Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. I have a feeling both those guys are going to play, but we're not going to know until Sunday night. Of course, you could put that off and go Ayuk against Arizona if you really wanted to play Palmer and wanted to wait it out and see. Honestly, I think Slayton's coming on enough for me. I would probably play him. Ayuk's been coming on too. This is a tough call, man. I'm going to be too wishy-washy here. I'm going to play Ayuk. See, so I like Ayuk. I like the trajectory. I like all 3 of these guys. The thing with Ayuk, just my theory on San Francisco, right? There's going to be somebody every week to point you, maybe 2 somebodies, right? They just have so much, so many mouths to feed them, and they're capable of feeding them. But it just seems like every week somebody's going to be left behind. Recently, it has not been Ayuk. So I'm going to probably just hold out and go with that direction and avoid all the intrigue in the other spots. JR1616. Hi, Bob. I need 3 of these 4. Guillotine, PPR, Tony Pollard, Minnesota, Cortland Sutton, Raiders, Devontae Smith, and Nico. These are all solid plays. I mean, so the safest plays to me, Pollard. I mean, can you call Cortland Sutton a great play? So, I mean, it's a great matchup. I'm pretty much into the Cortland Sutton this week, and it'd probably be Devontae Smith. Garrett Wilson has had a couple of really great games, and one of them was against New England. I have worries about which Zach Wilson shows up. I should probably worry about which Russell Wilson shows up, right? I think this is the question for me. So Pollard and Smith, I think pretty much for sure, and then it's between Sutton and Garrett Wilson, and I'm probably going to lean Sutton in this one. I don't know that either of them are safe plays, though. JR. Hello, Andrea. Jesse, 1 point PPR, Moore or Garrett Wilson? Did I mention that Moore's on a that Wilson's on a little bit of a roll? We have them ranked both as wide receiver 2s. We have DJ Moore a little bit ahead. I mean, who do I trust more, Baker Mayfield or Zach Wilson? I don't trust either of them guys that much, right? trust Zach Wilson slightly less against New England than I do Baker Mayfield. I'm going to say this for Baker Mayfield, not standing up for him. This offense is different than what he was playing in early in the season, right? They're running the ball more effectively. I'm a little worried about the rushing attack this week. It's a tough matchup. They're huge underdogs. I want to say 10 points plus. So, are they going to be able to run the ball with Deontay Foreman? Or are they going to have to throw it a little bit? I'm going to probably take a chance on DJ Moore here. Hey, Garrett Wilson's a good play, though, too. I think I'll just to give you our rankings, just to let you know. DJ Moore's 20. Garrett Wilson's 25. So we're right in the same range there. So if you have a hunch, go ahead and play it. Michael Pittman versus Philadelphia or Kadarius Toney at Chargers. I think we all want to get some Kadarius Toney in there. We want a piece of that explosive Chiefs offense. In case you had not heard, Juju Smith-Schuster's ruled out for this game with a concussion. Mecole Hardman went on IR, so we'll miss like 4 games. Mecole Hardman does Kadarius Toney fills a lot of the holes that Mecole Hardman left, right, in the jet sweep area and things like that. Seems like a really good opportunity for him. I think more you're playing the opportunity. The concern with Michael Pittman is simple, right? I mean, this offense looks better, no doubt, or looked better last week with Matt Ryan back at quarterback. And I think that gives you a little something to hang your hat on with Pittman. But also, I mentioned Darius Slay. Okay, Terry McLaurin owned Darius Slay last week. Darius Slay doesn't get owned very much. I just expect him to come back with a vengeance. I have concerns about the matchup. I think he's probably the safer play to me. But if you want to take a little swing for a fence, if these are like your wide receiver 3s and you think everyone else is really good, Charles, you feel really comfortable with the production you're going to get from your wide receiver 1 or 2, then go ahead and swing for the fence. That's usually my approach. But Michael Pittman is probably the better floor play. I just don't know what to expect from Toney yet. We don't have enough evidence to hang our hat on. It's one game, right? It was fantastic last week, and there's reason to believe it'll be more fantastic this week, given the attrition. So if you're in for that, I would not. That's kind of the direction I would go. But Pittman's a safer play. Iron Eddie, 11-20, half-point PPR. I need to start Brian Robinson versus Houston, Jacoby versus New York Giants, Toney and Pacheco versus KC. I need one to start. Probably the safe play here is Brian Robinson against Houston because every running back against Houston is the safe play to start. Just is. Jacoby Myers has been phenomenally solid. It's totally overlooked commodity in fantasy football. I believe he's inside our top 20 in the rankings, and with good reason. He's just been consistently productive. So he's added a touchdown or 2. Pacheco. And I think I've outlined my, where I stand on Toney. I think he's a good play this week. I mean, do you have the confidence that he's going to really, show up? We just don't have enough evidence for me to have the confidence, but I like what I saw. I'm sure you liked what you saw, and I like the opportunities there. So Pacheco, let's talk about that for just a second. Pacheco is clearly taking over the primary down work, right? Jerick McKinnon is not going away. Jerick McKinnon has outsnapped both Pacheco and Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who got 4 snaps last week. So Clyde Edwards-Helaire is kind of fading into a non-factor. So as he fades further, I'm assuming this is a trend and not a one-off thing. If he continues to, if this trajectory continues, I mean, Pacheco at some point is going to be a really solid play, maybe even this week. I'd like to see it before I get there. I mean, he had 16 carries last week, but the week before he had 5, and and still McKinnon out snapping him. I guess I need a little more convincing on Pacheco. I like the direction. I'm just not there yet. So Brian Robinson seems like a super safe play. I'd probably like him in the order you have him listed. Iron Eddie, Patrick G. Mafia, Toney, Patterson, Pollard, pick 2 in a standard league. So the usage on Patterson was a concern last week. There's no doubt about it. I'd probably go with Patterson and Pollard, though, this week. Do I think Hollywood Brown plays Monday night? I'm guessing yes. I mean, he's, here's the issue for the guys who are designated to return from IR. We don't really get a lot of information on them. Don't get any information on the injury report. Get some reporting. I saw some video of him working in team drill or individual drills, not in team drills. I think they'd like to get him back. But the problem is we're not going to know until Monday. So for Sunday games, players designated to return from IR have to be added to the active roster Saturday by 4 p.m. So that makes it a little easier. If someone's activated, you're pretty sure they're going to use them, right? For Monday night games, they don't have to be activated until just before Monday night's game. So we won't know until Monday night. So my guess is yes, but I'm not sure. Do you think I have up too much? Need a wide receiver with Chase on bench, Curly, Burrow, trade away Tua for Pittman. Help me with this, Jesse. Do I need to scroll back? This is good. Do you think I have too much? Needed a wide receiver with Chase on the bench. Curly have Burrow. Oh, traded away Tua for Pittman. Oh, I see what you did. I probably wouldn't have. Well, I mean, you got Burrow. You got Chase on the bench. I would have wanted more for Tua right now just because he's, on such a heater and he's playing so well. I don't know if for the rest of the season, I wouldn't rather have Tua than Burrow. But I mean, it's not like by orders of magnitude. So yeah. So, I mean, I'm not sure about this Colts offense. I guess I have questions. If this Colts offense turns into kind of something what we saw down the stretch last year, I'd be fine. Michael Pittman demanding a 30% target share. I thought it was fantastic late last season. I just don't know if it's going to play out that way again this year. Let's see. Mark D per PPR CEH versus Chargers. Deion versus Deion Jackson versus Philadelphia. So that's pretty easy call. CEH. I don't know if we'll see Deion Jackson. He is off the injury report, so that's good news. But I think ideally, maybe my Jonathan Taylor shares are projecting this. I'd like to see that same workload, which is, but obviously there was no Deion Jackson last week. I'd probably take my chances with CEH. I don't think either of them are good options. You know that, though. Pat V, starting Hopkins, Connor, and D-Sang on Monday. How important is a pivot for Hopkins? Could start Antonio Gibson in the early game and keep Debo in reserve on the bench as a pivot. What they're saying, what Cliff Kingsbury said, is that basically the day off yesterday was an insurance day. So let's see here's what I do. I wait until they get the injury report out today. And if he has no injury designation, Hopkins, that'd be a pretty easy call, right? Kind of take the question out of it and not have to worry. So let's say that he's questionable, then I think it would be relatively important to have a pivot. I mean, you don't want to take a zero. So, and I don't think Gibson's I think Gibson's a fine play. I mean, it's not ideal. Ideally, I think you have the right guys in there, but you might not get the ideal position. Let's wait and see what happens later on, Pat. And if he is questionable, then I think you have it out. You've outlined it correctly. Steve Lindor needs a PPR, a dart throw, bye-week, wide receiver, tight end spot out of these. Foster Moreau versus Denver, Wan'Dale Robinson versus Lions, Kendall Hinton versus Raiders, Justin Watson looking versus. So I think Justin Watson, I don't think he's my answer here, but I think he's interesting. We've seen a few games. Last week he had 5 targets after Juju went out. He was kind of the busier guy. I mean, Kendall Hinton, I want to say he's questionable. He's got a shoulder issue, I think. Let's see what I think he's going to play. He's got a shoulder issue. He is questionable. Hey. Boy, this is a tough. So, I mean, we're just talking dart toss. So, I don't have a lot of faith in Wan'Dale Robinson. I like the matchup, but just the usage doesn't seem to happen. He's, the degree I want. And also, he's got a little bit of a hamstring issue. So I'm probably going to go with Foster Moreau. Kadarius Toney or Rondale Moore. I think in this case, and I clamped easy. This is a little easier for me. Kadarius Toney, I can make the argument that Rondale Moore, I'm concerned that they're going to have the full contingent of receivers there, right? If we have Marquise Brown back, if we have DeAndre Hopkins, the hamstring's not an issue, and then Moore falls down the pecking order. I think as things stand going into this week or last couple weeks, I would rather play Rondale Moore. I think he's gotten a pretty solid workload. But I think in this case, I'll play Toney. Andreas needs one. Michael Pittman versus Philly. Chris Olave versus Rams. Kadarius Toney versus LA. Chargers. I have Patrick Mahomes and Kelsey playing. I'm probably going to go Olave there. And I think I would have gone Olave almost regardless, I want to say. Yeah, I would have gone Olave regardless. And come on, Andy Dalton. Be the red rifle and not the red-headed stepchild. Or do be the red-headed stepchild and get Jameis Winston in there. I'm holding on to my Jameis Winston shares. Don't really have a choice in the Scott Fish Bowl. I'd like to make the playoffs. I think Olave's the right play there, Andrea. M. Tarrant, any reason to hang on to Kyron Williams this week if I'm desperately looking for a waiver running back to start this week? His use last week was discouraging and 0 new cents. I think what we see from just all these running backs, and we should have known this, it's just not been good offense, right? Maybe there's a little more bandwidth if he's, let's assume he is kind of viewed as a receiving asset there. That's how it was last week, and I'm assuming that kind of seems to be the direction it's taking based on the evidence we have at hand. So, I mean, maybe a little more room for that with no Cooper Kupp. I mean, there's going to be some open targets there, but honestly, I mean, if you're looking for a waiver running back to start this week, like no Rams running back is exciting to me. They're just, the offense is not good. The offensive line is horrible, and it's been a limiting factor. None of those guys have succeeded. The first week they do will be the first time all season they do. So, I was fine hanging on to Kyron Williams as a speculative play to see if he maybe got a more robust role. Maybe it still comes. Maybe you should still hold on to him and see. But I think we're getting to the point where it's a little bit of a fool's errand on these Rams running backs. PPR, need 2 of these 3 wide receivers to start. Tony versus Chargers, Gabe Davis versus Browns, Ayuk versus Cardinals. Ayuk and probably Gabe Davis. That's assuming everyone makes it to Detroit. They're trying to get everybody to the airport right now. I don't know if you're following along the drama in Buffalo. Obviously, the game moved to Detroit. The airport is open in Buffalo, and now the question is, who can get to the airport? The roads are really bad, and they're working to do that. So watch the website throughout the day. I'll be updating as information comes in. But I think it'd be probably Davis for me indoors. Cleveland, it's a great matchup. I know what his role is. He's boom bust. I've talked about this all the time. But I think Kadarius Toney is that guy right now as well. So I'd rather play the one I know early and get it over with as long as he's ready to go. Everybody's ready to go. Remy needs 1 for his flex. T. Higgins at Pittsburgh, D. Hopkins from San Francisco, Chuba Hubbard at Baltimore, Jerick McKinnon. Like them in the order you list them. And might like Hopkins more if I had the clarity, and maybe if we get the clarity today, you could watch that. But both he and Higgins are top 10 plays at wide receiver for me, with Hopkins slightly ahead. So I would be fine playing either. So maybe wait until the injury report comes out, Remy, and then we'll, if for some chance Hopkins has no injury designation, that'd be the direction I'd go. If he does, I'd say to hell with that. I'm not taking any chances. I can play it safe because Higgins is a really good play against Pittsburgh. Depleted secondary and all whatnot. Although I think Mika Fitzpatrick's coming back from his appendectomy very quickly. Jesse Cedillo needs 2. Deontay Johnson, Pittman, Mooney, Allen Robinson. Mooney again. You got 2 Moonies? Or Peoples-Jones? Need 2 of those. The first Mooney is going to be one of them. First Mooney is going to be one of them. I might play both Moonies. I'd probably go Deontay Johnson and Mooney. I mean, Allen Robinson, is he going to turn into a much better thing? It's within the range of possible outcomes, right? That Allen Robinson becomes a more important piece, or becomes a usable piece. I mean, I think that's possible. I'd like to see it before I bet on it, though. I think the other plays are great. Mooney in a great matchup against Atlanta. Should demand like a 25+% target share. And Deontay Johnson's been just fine. I mentioned earlier the red zone targets have been good with Kenny Pickens. I know we're kind of viewing George Pickens, Kenny Pickett and Pickens. They're not the same guy. I should know this. One plays quarterback, one's a receiver. But anyway, Deontay Johnson, I kind of threw out the numbers. The red zone targets have been there for him more so than even Pat Freiermuth. We're kind of viewing Pickens as the top target, but it's not that great of an offense. So I don't know if I don't want to go too cuckoo for Pickens. I think I'll play Johnson. And again, Pittman, maybe I'm over Barry Slay angle. Like every game this season except last week says that I'm not overplaying it, but last week says I'm overplaying it. So, by the way, I like Donovan Peoples-Jones, a player on the rise for sure. Just not to that level. Patrick G. Mafia, Kadarius Toney, Cordero Patterson, or Tony Pollard. Pick 2 for standard for better clarification. Okay, still picking Patterson and Pollard. Again, if you're like overly concerned, or if you're concerned, but I don't know if there's such a thing as overly concerned after last week. I mean, it was really a chopped up backfield. I'm I mean, the majority of games that we've seen Cordell Patterson on the field, he's been the primary piece. This last week, and maybe there's reasons, with the short turnaround, he was just off IR, played a big game, and then a short turnaround, for Patterson. If that's a concern for you, if the workload's a concern, feel free to go Tony. Pollard is the easy call here, but either way, not changing my answer from earlier. Tony is the odd man out of this group for me. Mark D, need 2. Devontae at Indianapolis. Ayuk at Arizona. Cooks versus Washington. Higbee versus New Orleans. I'm probably playing them. I like them probably like Ayuk, slightly better than Smith, but right there, those two. I do think there's a world that Higbee turns. Remember early in the season when Tyler Higbee was a thing? I think he might be a thing again. I do think he's someone who, if someone's benefiting, he's going to benefit maybe a little bit from the absence of Cooper Kupp. Kevin O'Brien, if Mark Andrews does not play, damn it, don't say that. I need him to play. But if he does not play, best fallback, probably Isaiah Likely would be for me. I would just go ahead and play Likely. And that's assuming, are all these fallbacks on your, I guess you have to make a move. I would say Likely. I think Lamar Jackson's going to play. You know what? Honestly, if it's Tyler Huntley, it wouldn't be that much horror. Remember last year when Mark Andrews got more targets from the guys not named Lamar Jackson than he did from the guys named Lamar Jackson? Weird. Anyway, yes, Isaiah Likely. Jelly of the month. Dak versus pass funnel Vikings. Lamar versus Carolina with the illness. I'm a little worried about that. I'm going to go ahead and play Lamar. It's an early kickoff there, so just make sure he's up. I talked about this a little bit last night on the radio. It's the Football Diehards show on Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio. I was on with Mike Dempsey last night. We had a great time, 2 hours of goodness, 10 to midnight. You can see it I listened to it on Monday and Thursday as well from 10 until 1 a.m. You can listen tonight too. We'll probably talk about this again. But we did talk about this, the possibility we've seen Lamar kind of have to leave games briefly. The illness thing is weird for him. He said, and he mentioned it about how, he's never had these kind of issues until he got to Baltimore. I don't know if he's saying it's Baltimore or what. I don't know. But it is, something to think about. I'm still going with Lamar here. I think overall he's the better play. And let's just assume he's going to be active, and you'll know in advance of the game and listen to the early reporting. Go to the footballdiehards.com website. I'll have any updated information there, any thoughts or rumors from the local reporters suggesting there might be an issue. This is our game of the week on the radio tonight. I guess it's Pittsburgh, Cincinnati. So, okay. I thought maybe it was, no, it's Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, our game of the night on the radio show tonight. So we'll have some local reporters. Who do we have tomorrow on the show? Jeff Manz and I on the press box. I just got that information. We're going to cover the Colts, Ravens. So we'll have the Ravens. So we'll have a beat writer from Baltimore. So if you listen to the pregame show, we'll have this. I'll be asking about Lamar Jackson, see if we can get some specific intelligence for you. Jelly of the month. Steve Lindor, point per completion league. Woo. Go with Daniel Jones or Matt Stafford. Passing volume is key in this league. Thanks again. Giants going to run the football a lot. I love this matchup. I love Daniel Jones. I would rank him ahead of Matt Stafford. I do rank him ahead of Matt Stafford. I think he's a better play than Matt Stafford in just about every league. This one, I don't know. I think Matt Stafford's going to probably have to throw a lot of passes. If volume is key, probably go Stafford there. Jason Wilson, good afternoon. Asking the same question from Wednesday. Pick 3. Well, hopefully this time you can hear me. Pick 3 in a PPR. Kadarius Toney versus Chargers. Gabe Davis versus Browns. Michael Pittman versus Eagles. Chris Olave versus Rams, or Amon-Ra St. Brown. So Amon-Ra, Chris Olave, and I think at that point we can kind of, I think Gabe Davis is a solid play. I'd probably go there. Again, you guys have heard me, ad nauseum on what my view of Gabe Davis is. I mean, there's weeks where he's just a guy, and there's weeks but he's also a huge upside. It's a boom bust play. I think when you have two pieces like Amon-Ra St. Brown and Chris Olave, you can have that risk in your lineup. I think Michael Pittman is kind of another floor play with concerns. And I think Kadarius Toney is to swing for the fence. So if you wanted to get Toney in there, I think you could absolutely, this would be a good spot to do it with Olave and Amon-Ra St. Brown, if you wanted to do it. Pick your boom bust guy. Let me put it that way. So go Chris Olave and Amon-Ra. You can avoid the Darius Slay thing, the angry Darius Slay. That's my narrative, but I bet he is. Man, Terry McLaurin just owned him. He doesn't get owned a lot, Darius Slay. You'll be surprised to learn. So yeah, I think that's it. Nico Collins or Deontay Johnson. I'm going to play I almost said Nico Collins. Deontay Johnson there. Again, Bengals secondary a little beat up. It's more like Brandon Cooks. I'm a big Brandon Cooks stan. Everyone knows this. I love Brandon Cooks. He's having some obvious issues with the team. Nico Collins has come on with that opening and it's been pretty viable, right? It's just not as good an offense. I don't like the offense. Neither, by the way, is Pittsburgh. So it's a low bar there, but it's just so run heavy for the Texans. Good afternoon, Stephen Pavia. Oh, what do we do with Josh Palmer? I mean, as things stand right now, I mean, just in a vacuum, thinking, I mean, Josh Palmer ranks ahead of Josh Palmer ranks ahead of Keenan Allen and Mike Williams at the moment. I'm going to see if I get a little more confidence in them coming back. I'll tell you what, I'm increasingly confident as I've listened to their language over the week. I'm speaking of them being Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. Because it seems like, early in the week, they were both kind of non-committal, weren't sure they were going to be 100% or weren't sure they were going to be close enough. Seems like late in the week that shifted and they both have a lot more confidence. So, if they come back, I mean, Josh Palmer moving back to that third role seems like how it's going to be. I mean, Keenan Allen and Mike Williams are fantastic. Do they ease those guys back in? It's possible. Keenan Allen, we saw the last time he tried to come back from this hamstring injury the first time and kind of didn't go that well. So, I think Palmer's still a viable play, hoping this is a shootout kind of game. But I don't think we know what the Chargers are exactly going to look like when all the pieces are back in place. Right? It's been a weird year for them. But I still think Palmer's going to be viable no matter what. It's just not nearly as high level as he has been the last few weeks with those guys both out. Steve Lindor, PPR spot. Coffee. Let's see. If all are active, rank these three. Gus Bus versus Panthers, Jerick McKinnon versus Chargers, Isaiah Pacheco versus Chargers. Thanks again. Always great advice. I don't know if it always is great advice, but I try like hell. So, PPR. Boy, I feel like I'd rather play McKinnon in PPR. He's just been on the field more. I should look at something before I make that determination, though. Right? You know how you get a perception in your head, right? I think this is how it is, right? So I think probably in a PPR, I'd probably lean McKinnon. I mean, he's on the field more. He's getting targets pretty much every week. I just want to double check something here. I'm kind of on McKinnon, and like again, I kind of talked about it with Checo. I think he's going to be fine over the course of time. Last 2 weeks for McKinnon have been really good. I mean, double digits, really good. Is low double digits. Part of that, it's been pretty much missed, but it was a bigger split then. I just keep thinking last year with the way they used McKinnon when they went to the playoffs. It seems like Andy Reid has a lot of trust for him. So I'm going to rank them Gus Bus if he's active. And I'd probably go McKinnon in what I think is going to be a little bit of a shootout game. Need 3. Cook, Dalvin. What if I told you not to play Dalvin Cook, Jesse? Would you not play Dalvin Cook? You got to play. I mean, that's crazy. I'm playing the first 3, right? And so Deontay Foreman has been phenomenal. I think this is not a great situation for him. Ravens pretty tough run defense, giving up well under 100 yards a game. I want to say like well under, and they're like, what is it? How big of underdogs are they? Like 10+ point underdogs or something? That doesn't make for a good running game. I think Montgomery's going to be great against Atlanta, but he's sharing not with Khalil Herbert, with Justin Fields. I'm going with Cook, Stevenson, and Mixon. Paul DeSantis, greetings from Snowmageddon in Buffalo. Is everyone going to get to the airport, Paul? Could you help them? Tyler Higbee at New Orleans or David Njoku versus Buffalo. I'm going to go ahead and play Higbee here. They're both early kickoffs. We'll note Njoku, he's listed as questionable. Seems like he's heading back to playing. He was very good when he was playing. I think he had gotten his average up to like 14 points a game or something over the last few games that he played in. So I'm probably going to play it safe here and go Higbee. And by safe, I think I'm anticipating a little bigger role with Cooper Kupp gone. It's like maybe Tyler Higbee reverting a little bit to what he was before. This is mostly where I think these guys are pretty even. I'm just playing the healthier one at the moment. We'll see how Njoku is. Give it a week and see how it goes. Who do I prefer at tight end? Everett versus KC or Moreau versus Denver? I'm going to go with Everett versus KC. Edwards versus Carolina or Damian Harris versus New York Giants. If Gus Edwards is active, I'm going to go with Gus Edwards. Jesse needs 2. St. Brown, Boyd, Olave, Sutton, Pittman. I like Boyd an awful lot. I do not like him Olave a lot. St. Brown and Olave for me. I think Boyd is in a great spot. Again, if you go read my DFS 3 Now column, he is right in there. Sutton's right up there. I mean, I'm just looking at the rankings. You've got like a whole raft of guys in really good spots. St. Brown's currently 6. Olave's currently 10. Boyd 12. And Sutton 14. You don't have any wrong answers here. That's the point. Troy Olson, don't forget thumbs up and subscribe, folks. I agree with that. Thank you, Troy Olson. Hope you're well, sir. Good morning, Albert. Thanks for coming. Again, hit the subscribe button. It's right over here. The like button, too. Or the dislike. Go to footballdiehards.com as well if you're not a subscriber there and you'd like to. We have tons of great content from some really smart people, including Casey Joyner's blue-rated wideouts are just up today. Really good stuff from him every week, as well as Jamie Calandro, John Waub, myself, Gary Davenport, the great one, Justin Lanero, Evan Tarciano, Matthew Sharon, Reginald James, his Commission AQ articles. I love them. I'm not a commissioner, and I read them every week, and they're very entertaining and just well done. So tons of great content up there and tools as well, lineup optimizers for you DFS players. And again, every week we run normally on Saturday nights. Last night was Friday. Look, things happen. But our DFS lineup show with Jamie Calandro and Eric Romoff, they're phenomenal, do a great job. Dive deep, go game by game, take your questions. If you missed out last night because they moved it tonight, go ahead and go to the website or go to the YouTube channel here, and you'll find the replay awaiting you, and you can listen to all their goodness. Good stuff. Okay. Thoughts on Nico Collins over Gus or Palmer? I think it's a little bit of a risky play. I mean, I'm not denying that Nico Collins is coming on. He is. There's no doubt about it. He seems to be getting better, becoming more part of this offense. It's more about the general offense in general, right? It just hasn't been phenomenal. Maybe it's a decent matchup. I'm just checking his latest scoring. 15 points last week. He'd missed a string. Prior to that, he had two double-digit games, 11 and 10 points versus 5 single-digit games. So he's had 5 single-digit games, 3 double-digit games. It's a bad offense, but this is a favorable matchup for them, in general. Just don't like the offense that much. I guess that's, like the player, don't like the situation. And so, I mean, Gus, you've got concerns, right? If you're concerned about the injury or maybe the decision's made for you and you're deciding between Palmer and Nico Collins, I mean, you're not going to know if the other 2 pieces are going to be playing, or you might not know until night. I mean, I think Nico Collins is as you're doing your fallbacks and planning for what might be the possible outcomes, I think he's a viable play. And I'll say those, if we're looking at the range of double digits, the double-digit scoring has been 3 of the last 4 games have been double-digit scoring for him. He's missed a handful of games, 2 games. But 3 of the last 4 games he's played in have been double digits. Low double digits, but double digits. Remy, you need 1 for his flex PPR. Melvin Gordon versus Las Vegas. Kareem Hunt versus Buffalo. Josh Palmer versus KC. Darrell Henderson versus New Orleans. These are a lot of not great choices. Gordon, I think, got negative points against Vegas last time they played. I'm hoping for better here. honestly, Kareem Hunt's usage has plummeted, right? As Nick Chubb's come on, almost to the point where I don't really even view him as a viable flex. I mean, I want to see some more workload from him before I get too excited. Just want to look up the numbers here real quick because I think it's been bad. I want to say hasn't had 15 yards rushing in the last 4 weeks. He's had 8 touches, 20 scrimmage yards in 3 of those 4 games. Yeah, I'm probably not in on Hunt right now. I just need to see more from Hunt. So, look, I'm not happy about this, but I'm probably going Melvin Gordon here. I don't think you can count on a Rams back either. I mean, to me, it's down to Gordon or Henderson. I don't trust either of them. I like the matchup a little better for Gordon. Which defense would I play this week? New Orleans against the Rams or the Jets against New England? So I'd probably play New Orleans defense. They're down some pieces, though. I want to say it's Cameron George is not playing this week. So let me rethink this. Horrible offensive line for the Rams. Jets are playing really well, though. I'm going to probably go the Jets in this one. I might go the Jets. I'm going to surprise myself and think it through. Like, the general rule, I want to pick on the quarterback. And Mac Jones isn't the worst one to pick on. The rankings like the Saints a little bit better. It's a horrible offensive line. I'm just thinking of the pieces that are missing right now. I might just go the Jets. Both in our top 10, by the way. Mark D, flex Higbee versus New Orleans. Use the whole name. Don't make me guess. Chris Moore versus Washington. Dotson at Houston. Terrace Marshall at Baltimore. Or Wandale versus Detroit. One of these. I'm going to go ahead and go. I'd probably go Higbee in this one. I'm assuming it's PPR. Yes. PPR. Trey S., good morning. Full point PPR, start 2, Singletary, Zeke, Michael Carter, Eli Mitchell. Thanks and good luck this weekend. Thank you. Good luck to you. Singletary, probably Michael Carter. I liked what I thought Elijah Mitchell looked great last week. I say that as a bitter Christian McCaffrey investor. And I hope he doesn't look as great this week, but he might, right? He might. Zeke, I think, is a kind of a lower level flex play for me this week. I do think he's going to play. He's listed as questionable, of course. Let me just see where the rankings like these guys. If they like them the same as I do. Singletary, Carter. Yep. Yeah, that's the direction I'm going. I'm hoping Elijah Mitchell. I'm hoping for less for Elijah Mitchell, but hope is not a good strategy, right? But I do think that Carter and Singletary are solid plays. I think Carter will have a good, in the passing game, is going to have a good role. If Mike Williams or Evans play, would you start Wandale Robinson or Cole Kmet over Josh Palmer? I might start Cole Kmet over him, not Wandale Robinson. Evans. Who is Evans? It's escaping me. Mike Evans? He's not playing. I don't know. Wow. Look at me go, Mark. Thank you. Good morning, Andrew. Jets or Dallas defense this week? I'm probably going to play Dallas every week. Stephen Pavey, in order to get Gus off IR, I would have to drop Kareem Hunt. Am I crazy? No, you're not crazy. I just outlined, I know you wrote this before I outlined it, but I'm trading Fournette for Connor. Is that good? It's not bad. But I don't blame you for not wanting to drop Jaylen Warren, Steven. I'm thinking about this one still. I went for the low-hanging fruit because I would trade Connor for Fournette. See, it feels like, right? It feels like we're getting, a little bit of a course shift here. Clearly, Rachaad White's gaining momentum. I don't think he's going to totally usurp Leonard Fournette, but nobody's usurping James Conner right now. Nobody. We saw them get rid of Eno Benjamin, the only guy who might usurp his touches. So. Let's see. Dude 5. Cousins or Prescott? I'm probably going to play Prescott there. Again, not anti-Kirk Cousins. I feel like too many answers have not been. I feel like when you're answering against somebody, you feel like you're going overboard, right? Like if every question I'm answering other players, like Michael Pittman is the guy this week. Maybe it was Gabe Davis last week, right? And he ended up scoring the touchdown. It was fine. But I mean, I kind of outlined what, my issues with Gabe Davis, and they're not changed, and that performance didn't change. He's boom or bust, a single digit or huge game. But in this case, I'm going to go ahead and go Prescott over Cousins, and they're both inside the top 10. So there's not necessarily a wrong answer, but a little more challenging for Kirk Cousins with the pressure he's going to face. At least it's not in prime time, right? I got about 10 minutes left here. I will get through these as fast as I can and try to get through all of them. Sounds like my sound is okay. This is great news. We put a lot of effort into the sound, people, and we apologize for the last couple of weeks. I know it's been rough, and I hate that it's not perfect, and so we will get it as perfect as we can. Latavius versus Las Vegas or Chuba at Baltimore. I have Spiller versus KC. M. Taryn, you're playing Latavius Murray and hoping he gets that touchdown. Although I do think this might be a little bit of Chuba. I mentioned earlier with Deontay Foreman had concerns, big underdogs in this game, hard to run against Baltimore. If you have a hunch about Chuba, go ahead. I'm playing Latavius. Could Swift Olave give me an upgrade at running back and who to target? So, Andrew, this is the weekly, here's how we do it with trades. Yes, Swift and Olave could get you an upgrade at running back. How big of a upgrade? I mean, we all overpaid for Swift initially, right? So, we overdraft them. So I wouldn't trade him away. I wouldn't overdo it. But what you need to do is you need to go and look at all your opponent's rosters, find someone who's running back heavy, who maybe has had a running back that they drafted later rise up, whether it's Kenneth Walker, David Pierce, Brian Robinson, somebody who they feel, is comfortable and has kind of filled the void and gives them a little wiggle room to let go of a higher ranked prospect or a more highly invested in prospect. Troy Olsen, quit bragging, Troy. Okay, you can brag. No, I think I need to get in on points at this point, Troy. That's where I'm at. I need to get in on points. So, and I think I'm in. I think I'm in right now. As things stand right now, given the way it is, I'm in now, but I haven't clinched by any means. So go ahead, brag. 13th win. I've seen you. You're like, yes, you're highly ranked. I know, Troy. Jimmy Williams, full point PPR. Need wide receiver 2 production for Mooney this week. You will get it. I think you have a very good chance of getting it. The only concern there is they're so run heavy, but I mean, they're going to pass enough. He's getting a huge chunk of the target shares. A little talk that Chase Claypool is going to be incorporated more, and maybe he will. But thinking, Mooney's going to drop down below a 20% target share, I don't see that happening. And a great matchup. So I think you have a good chance of getting it. PPR, Campbell over Myers. Bad weather in New England. I'm probably still playing Myers, but, I feel like the way you framed the question is you'd like to avoid him, Mr. Gus, and that I think Campbell's perfectly fine. Start Zeke or Drake. I'm starting Zeke unless there is no Gus Edwards. If there's no Gus Edwards, jump all over Drake. And you'll know that in the 90 minutes leading up. It's the early afternoon kickoff. Zeke is a later game. Also, I mean, if it is like that, I guess the question is better. Do I really think Zeke's going to play? I really do. But he is questionable. So if you want to avoid the 0 and maybe go with, Drake either way, I could see that as well. I just think, if Gus is in, Gus is the primary guy. But we've seen this be there's room for both those guys to be productive. So I get the question, Marcy Amy 1. And if you just want to avoid the Zeke questionability thing, I just made that word up. Go ahead. I think Drake will play either way. And if there is no Edwards, maybe this gives a really easy situation for you. Patrick G. Mafia, you're welcome. Keenan Allen or Paris Campbell. So again, we're not going to know until the Sunday night kickoff. I'd probably go Paris Campbell here. I just want to look and see where we have Paris Campbell right now. Because, he's a solid position. The numbers have been fantastic for him. I'm sure if you have him on your rosters, you know this. But just let me outline the last couple games have been, just since he's been back, is I want to look at the target shares. Since week 6, 11 targets, 12 targets, had 2 against Washington, 5 against New England. What did those games coincide with? Sam Ehlinger, quarterback. Then we have Matt Ryan come back 9. So with Matt Ryan at quarterback, you've got 9 targets, 12 targets, 11 targets in his last 3 games with Matt Ryan. I'm probably going that direction. I'd be fine playing that. I'm waiting and seeing Keenan Allen. I mean, look, maybe Keenan Allen comes back and goes great guns, but you're not going to know that until it happens. So if you're playing it safe, I think Paris Campbell's a fine play. T. Banyas won. Hi, Bob. Hello, T. Banyas won. I need 2 for a PPR flex 10-team league, and considering I'm starting Jamal Williams in my running back 2, Swift, Pickens, Garrett Wilson, and Gabe Davis. I'm probably going Wilson, and I would probably still play Swift, but Gabe Davis would be the next if you don't want to play both those Lions. Hi, Cesar. Jelly of the month. Drop 5, wide receiver 5-6, Josh Palmer to staff Jalen Warren. Sure. I mean, if you want to stash, there's stash plays. If Josh Palmer is your wide receiver 5 or 6, and we see, whether it's tonight or whether it's Sunday night or going forward, those other 2 pieces are going to be back. So KJ Frederick, and you're welcome, Jason. Welcome, Jason Wilson. See if I can get through here. Got just a few minutes left, so trying to wrap up at the top of the hour. Again, thanks everyone for coming. I have a good matchups this week. I need 3 to play: Kadarius Toney, Paris Campbell, Tyler Boyd, Amari Cooper, Deontay Foreman. There's a lot there. Need 3. So Tyler Boyd's one of the 3. Amari Cooper's one of the 3. Probably Deontay Foreman is one of the 3 as well. Again, I don't have a great feeling about this matchup. I don't like the circumstance. I don't like the big underdogs. Are they going to be playing from behind? Can they continue running the way they've been running? Deontay Foreman's great when he gets all the carries. He's not when he doesn't get all the carries. If that's a concern for you, I'd be fine with all these other pieces swinging for the fence with Kadarius Toney. Paris Campbell is the floor play. Tank currently has Terrence Matthews Jr., Terrence Marshall Jr., Drake London, and Jarvis Landry on my bench. Would you drop one for Nico Collins? Yes, I'd probably drop Matthews. I love Matthews. Don't love the offense. Would you start Elijah Mitchell over Joshua Palmer PPR? I would wait and see. It's a Sunday night and Monday night kickoffs respectively. So if there's no Keenan Allen and or Mike Williams, I would probably play Joshua Palmer. If there are both of those pieces, I might wait it out on Elijah Mitchell. I don't know for sure that this is the plan going forward, right? Kyle Shanahan. I'm dating myself there. Kyle Shanahan says this is what they'd like to do. So I'm going to take him at his word for right now and think Elijah Mitchell is going to have a role going forward. If some week Elijah Mitchell doesn't have a role, would it be terribly surprising if Christian McCaffrey gets on an early heater, they just stick with him? Yes. Is it entirely possible if Elijah Mitchell gets on a heater, they keep playing him like they did last week? Yes. We're still going to see Christian McCaffrey, but yeah. So if there is neither of those other 2 pieces, Palmer on Sunday night. Half-point PPR, Gabe Davis. We'll check out my flex. It's a flex level play. Right now to me, Gabe Davis has more touchdown upside. Pacheco is maybe a little better floor, slightly higher floor. So depending on what you want there. I just answered Tyler Thompson. You're welcome, Thomas. Brian Baker, hey Bob, 1-point PPR, Gibson, Pollard, or Jacoby Myers in my flex. Pollard. Gibson, Pollard. Let me look. That's probably closer than I think. I still like Pollard even if Zeke's back. I think we can see the momentum building there. Yeah, I'm just double checking. It's a great matchup, right? We all know what's going on with Houston. I mentioned at the top of this discussion, they're on pace to give up 3,000 yards. Gibson has a role in the receiving game more so than Brian Robinson. I like him a little more than Robinson. But this is an easy one for me, Pollard. Andrea, Davis Mills versus Washington, or Jared Goff versus New York Giants, or Taylor Heineke versus Houston? I want to play Taylor Heineke, and my gut says, what do the rankings say, Andrea? The rankings like Goff a little better. Slightly. It's very close. I'll go with the rankings on this one. Goff's probably a better play. Tank, looking at Chris Watson's wise, would you drop Romeo Doubs for Nico Collins? Yes. I don't know. I think Romeo Doubs is going to be out for a length of time. For Nico Collins, I'm not interested in pick up CEH. And I would not, no need to hold on Doubs. I love the Scholars DFS article every week. John Lobb is a national treasure. He does great work. Just well-researched, well thought out, well done. Full PPR, DJ Moore, Deontay Foreman. I'm expecting Deontay Foreman to get more opportunities, Jim. I don't really know that I like the potential outcome, but I'm probably going to play the opportunities more than I'm playing, a running back opportunities more than I'm playing DJ Moore. So I'm probably going to go that way. Thank you, Scott Hedge. I appreciate you enjoying me and Dempsey. I sometimes enjoy Dempsey too. Is the Bills defense a safe play? I don't know if they're a safe play, but they're a good play. Reasonable play. Willpower. What's going to happen is they're going to run the ball down their throat, right, Cleveland? We're going to see a lot of Nick Chubb. So maybe they're not not a great play, but a safe play. Okay, I'll wrap it up here. I appreciate everyone asking really good questions. It was very helpful. Last flex in a half-point PPR. Take a chance with Gus or Drake, or just roll with Pittman versus Philadelphia. Possible garbage time. Kind of get the point there. Again, I don't want to overstate the matchup with Slay. It's been really miserable, except for last week. I do like that. If you just want to avoid the running back drama, I'm not against that. Just seeing there's news coming in. It's about Chase Young and nothing else. Devontae Carter. Latavius Murray, Devontae Carter, or Nick Collins. What order? I'm kind of stuck. I'm not sure who Devontae Carter is. Someone has to help me here. It's not clicking in my head. What Carter is that? Thank you. I'm glad the sound was better. Appreciate you. All right. I can't figure out. DeAndre Carter. Thank you. There we go. Email chimed in my DeAndre Carter, Latavius Murray, or Nico Collins. In what order? So Murray, Collins, Carter. Just not knowing what's going to happen with the wide receivers, right? I mean, if all the pieces are back, I don't know what happens to DeAndre Carter. So I'm going that way. And thank you, Robert. And thank you, Emil, for helping me decipher that one. Yeah. Carter running back. Michael Carter? I don't know. You've baffled me, Robert. Anyway, I gotta sign off. Thank you, everyone, for coming. Appreciate it. Thank you, Jimmy. Thank you, Dude5. Thank you, Andrea. Appreciate you. Thanks, Steven, for the feedback. And we'll get the mic. Should I turn it on down for more for Kadarius Toney? I wouldn't mind doing that. If I'm assuming neither of these are frontline players for you. It's a little bit of I would do that. All right, everybody, I have to go. I'm Bob Harris, footballdiehards.com. You can catch me on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio tonight from 8 to 11 on NFL Radio and the Fantasy Sports Channel. It's simulcast, people. You can't hardly miss it. Matthew Friedman from Fantasy Pros will be on with us. He's very smart. Jamie Calandro will join us to talk a little DFS. We'll be covering the Browns. The Bengals and Steelers game. Beat writers from both those games, do our confidence picks, all that stuff. Catch me tomorrow morning on the pregame show with Jeff Mans from 11 to 1. And otherwise, I'll see you here next Wednesday with great sound again, because that's what we do. Great sound is our thing here at footballdiehards.com. Appreciate y'all coming every week and taking advantage of this. Really enjoy the interaction. We'll catch you next week. DeAndre. So we had it right. So I'm glad you got that in there, Robert. So how I said it, Murray, Carter, because we don't know the mystery of the Mike Williams and Keenan Allen. So thanks a lot for everybody. We'll see you next time. Wednesday night, 7 p.m. Eastern time.